Hi, Brett from Metropole here, your trusted Brisbane resource. Well, today I'm going to predict the next financial crisis, and I'm going to show you that it's actually not going to be too far away. But to do this, I'm going to look at some historical trends over the last 50 or 60 years to get a bit of an understanding of what we may be looking at moving forward. And to do that, I'm going to go back to the 60s and take a look at what happened in the 60s. And in the early 60s, we had a recession. By 1970s, we actually had a couple of recessions. 1980s, we had another recession. And by 1990, we had what Paul Keating said was the recession we had to have. In the early 2000s, the world was influenced by the Asian financial crisis. And then by 2008, 2009, we had the big one, the global financial crisis. And that's coming on 10 years. So can you see a bit of a pattern here? Every 10 or so years, we're having some kind of economic crisis in Australia or throughout the world that influences our property, our share market, and our economy in general. So I'm not going out too much on a limb here by suggesting perhaps the next 2 to 10 years, we're actually going to have another financial crisis. It's important to understand that and important to prepare for that as well. Why do some investors do very well during these times of crisis while the majority of investors go backwards? Well, I think there's two things you need to look at. The first thing is you need to start recession-proofing your assets. You need to recession-proof your property portfolio by buying in known and proven areas that go back maybe 2 to 5 to 7% during the global financial crisis, and 12 months later they're back to where they were. They're very resilient. The second thing you need to do is have a financial buffer in place. A financial buffer should allow you to hold on to your assets for a 3 to 5 year period should you face unemployment, sickness, health, or some kind of financial crisis. The effect of compounding and growing an asset base works very well if you can hold those assets over time. If you have to sell due to some kind of financial downturn, it makes life very hard. It's also important that if you're looking to have a financial buffer, that you top that up every so often, and the key is to be prepared. There's no point trying to get a financial buffer in place when you're going through a financial crisis because credit is extremely hard to get. You're better off being prepared, and that's the secret why some investors thrive during those times. They have financial buffers in place and they're able to strike and take advantage of situations that don't normally arise. So yes, there is another financial crisis on the horizon, but by being prepared, future-proofing your portfolio and making sure you have a buffer in place, you can really thrive during that time and not just survive. Thanks for watching.